In this video, we'll go through 35 of the most common interview questions that the hiring manager will ask you during your interview. With each one, I have included an explanation of why hiring managers ask this question, how to structure it, and the perfect sample answer. When preparing for your interview, don't forget to customize each answer by adding your own work experience, key skills, and qualifications. Here's a bonus tip. Before your interview, it's important to research the company and review the job description so you can incorporate key skills relevant to the job role in your answers. Question number 1. Tell me about yourself. This is the most common job interview question you will be asked. At this point in the interview process, the hiring manager wants to learn more about your personality and character. As you continue answering this question, the hiring manager will make notes, thinking about what other follow-up questions they want to ask you. So how do you answer this interview question? Keep your answer short and concise because the ideal length in seconds should be approx. 90 seconds. You will start by introducing yourself again, then talking about the most relevant job experience you have as it relates to the job you are interviewing for. It doesn't matter if you have worked 8 jobs in the past. It would be best if you focused on those jobs that give the interviewer a glimpse into the skills and experience you will bring to this job role. With that said, you can also mention your educational background if it adds value to the job. For example, I have a master's in, or I completed an apprenticeship at. Finally, if you have any time left over from the allocated 90 seconds, mention some achievements that would wow the hiring manager. Now, here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. I have over 3 years of experience in customer service, where I've developed strong skills in problem solving, communication, and building relationships with customers. In my most recent role at ABC Company, I assisted an average of 50 customers daily, resolving issues, answering inquiries, and ensuring they had a positive experience. One of my proudest accomplishments was implementing a feedback tracking system that helped reduce customer complaints by 20% over 6 months. I've always been passionate about creating meaningful interactions and ensuring every customer feels valued. I'm known for staying calm under pressure and finding solutions that satisfy both the customer and the company. For example, during a particularly busy holiday season, I resolved a high-stress situation with an upset customer, turning it into a sale and earning a positive review for the team. Outside of work, I enjoy volunteering at community events, where I often use my communication skills to organize and engage with participants. I'm excited about this opportunity because it aligns with my passion for helping people and creating exceptional experiences. I look forward to contributing my skills to your team and exceeding customer expectations. Question number 2. What are your greatest strengths? Or what is your greatest strength? When the hiring manager asks you this interview question, they want to know what relevant strengths you will bring to this job role. The key word here is relevant because you may have many strengths, but which ones will be an asset in this job? So there are several ways to answer this question effectively. Still, it is recommended to skim through the job description and highlight the requirements of this job role. Why? The job description will explain what strengths you should mention in your answer. For example, suppose you are interviewing for a nursing job, and the job description is looking for a candidate with the following key skills: flexible, adaptable, and who can work under pressure. It is recommended to include some of these same strengths in your answer. With that said, the key is to keep things relevant by only mentioning those strengths which would be an asset in the job. Remember, the hiring manager seeks a candidate they believe would best fit the position. So, impress them by matching your skills with those highlighted in the job description. Now, here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. My greatest strength is my ability to connect with people and build rapport quickly. Whether it's resolving a customer's concern, addressing a complaint, or simply making someone feel valued, I excel at creating positive interactions. For example, in my previous role at XYZ, I worked with a customer who was frustrated about a delayed shipment. By actively listening, empathizing with their frustration, and offering a clear solution, I not only resolved the issue but also turned the interaction into a positive one. The customer ended up leaving a glowing review and continued to shop with us. Another strength is my problem-solving ability. I enjoy identifying the root cause of an issue and coming up with practical solutions. This has helped me consistently meet and exceed performance metrics such as reducing average response times and improving customer satisfaction scores. I believe these strengths align perfectly with the demands of this role, and I'm confident they'll allow me to contribute meaningfully to your team. Question number 3. What are your weaknesses? Or what is your greatest weakness? This question is where things get tricky because no one wants to discredit themselves from a potential job opportunity by shedding light on their weaknesses. However, there is a strategy you can use right now to answer this question effectively. First, the hiring manager asks you about your greatest weakness to understand if your weakness or weaknesses would be detrimental to the job. For example, if the job requires someone flexible and analytical, but you say your greatest weakness is your inability to analyze reports or read numbers, then this would eliminate you as a candidate for this specific job. So, first and foremost, it's recommended to understand the requirements of the job role, which can be found in the description. Next, highlight the requirements so you know which key skills you should not mention as your weakness. In other words, choose a weakness that is not this job's primary requirement. Now, here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. I've realized that I can be very detail-oriented, which sometimes slows me down when working on projects with tight deadlines. I like to make sure every aspect is perfect, but I've learned that in fast-paced environments, prioritizing efficiency and recognizing when something is good enough is just as important. To address this, I've started using time management tools and setting strict time limits for myself when reviewing tasks. For instance, in my last role, I used a timer to allocate specific periods for double-checking work, which helped me stay on schedule without sacrificing quality. It's an ongoing process, but I've seen a significant improvement in my ability to balance attention to detail with timely execution. I see this role as an opportunity to keep building on that balance. Question number 4. Why should we hire you? This question is another very common interview question, and for you to answer it, you have to understand why the hiring manager asks you this question. First, the hiring manager wants to know if you are confident in your abilities to perform the job. In other words, they want to hear from you that you have the key skills required to excel at this job. Second, the hiring manager asks this question because it's an excellent way for them to determine that you have researched the job requirements and know what is expected of you if you are hired. Finally, the hiring managers can quickly determine what sets you apart from other candidates by asking this question. For example, what makes you unique and why will you perform this job better than someone else? Now, here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. You should hire me because I bring a genuine passion for helping people and a proven ability to turn challenges into opportunities. I don't just see customer service as solving problems. I see it as building trust and creating lasting impressions. For instance, in my previous role, I once worked with a frustrated customer who had experienced multiple issues with their order. Instead of just fixing the immediate problem, I took the time to understand their concerns and offered a personalized solution that not only resolved the issue but earned us a loyal customer who continued to shop with us. What sets me apart is my ability to stay calm and empathetic in high-pressure situations and my drive to go the extra mile to ensure satisfaction. I'm excited about the chance to bring this same energy to your team and contribute to your reputation for excellent customer care. Question number 5. Why did you leave your previous job? The hiring manager will always ask you this question to understand why you are pursuing another job. Remember, the reason you left your previous job tells the hiring manager a lot about your character. For example, if you were fired from your last job, this would raise red flags, which would cause the hiring manager to think twice about hiring you for this job. But on the other hand, leaving for a valid reason is understandable, and there would be no reason for the hiring manager to be concerned. So, to be clear, there are 3 reasons the hiring manager will ask you the following interview question. Why did you leave your last job? First, did you leave this position voluntarily or were you fired or laid off? Second, are you on good terms with your previous employer, which can be helpful if you are asked to provide references? Finally, is the reason for quitting or leaving valid or understandable? The key is honesty because the hiring manager can easily find out why you left your previous job by calling your employer. Now, here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. I left my previous job because I felt I had grown as much as I could in that role and was ready to take on new challenges that align more closely with my long-term goals. While I truly valued the experiences and relationships I built there, I wanted to find a position where I could contribute in a more dynamic environment and continue developing my skills in customer service, management and leadership, etc. For instance, in my previous role, I was able to improve our customer satisfaction score by implementing proactive follow-up processes, but I found myself wanting to tackle broader challenges, such as designing end-to-end customer experiences or contributing to strategic initiatives. This desire for growth ultimately led me to explore opportunities like this one, where I can make a bigger impact while also advancing my career. I'm excited about the potential to bring my skills to your team and contribute in meaningful ways. Question number 6. Can you walk me through your resume? When hiring managers ask the following common interview question, walk me through your resume, they want to learn more about your work experience and how well you can communicate your key skills. Even tell them a story. You see, before interviewers invite someone for an interview, they quickly skim through your resume to see if you would be a good match for the job. However, they still don't know in detail what you did during your previous years working at these jobs. Remember, your resume is your experience and qualifications in point form, not in depth. In other words, by asking you the following interview question, walk me through your resume, the hiring manager is asking you to bring your resume to life. When answering this question, it's essential to connect all of your work experience so it relates perfectly to the job you are interviewing for. Use your work history to make yourself stand out compared to all the other candidates interviewing for the same position. Question number 7. What can you bring or contribute to the company? The hiring manager will often ask you this interview question for 2 reasons. First, to find out how you can contribute and add value to the company, and second, how your value makes you stand out compared to other candidates interviewing for this position. So when the interviewer asks you, what can you bring to the company? Explain to the hiring manager what you can accomplish in the company and the position if you are hired. Talk about some of the achievements in your life. You can also describe some of your proudest achievements in your previous job roles. The key is to relate your achievements and your accomplishments to the future. You can explain to the hiring manager how your accomplishments have prepared you for this job. When explaining your accomplishments, format your answer using the STAR method: situation, describe what happened; task, what you decided to do; action, how you completed the task; and result, the outcome of the situation. Finally, always research the company and job role before your interview to help you understand the company's specific needs. Then, align your experience, skills, and achievements with the company's needs and how each will help you fulfill those needs. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. I can bring a strong work ethic, a team-focused mindset, and the ability to adapt to new challenges quickly. In my previous role, I was responsible for managing multiple projects under tight deadlines. I not only completed them on time, but also found ways to improve processes, which saved the team a lot of time and effort. I think that kind of efficiency could benefit this company as well. I've always been someone who listens to others, whether it's teammates or customers, and works to find the best solution for everyone. That approach helps build trust and keeps things running smoothly. I also take the time to learn about the company I'm working for and make sure my efforts align with its bigger picture. Here I see opportunities to grow while making meaningful contributions to your team and customers. Question number 8. How did you hear about this position? Hiring managers will ask you the following interview question to find out if you know anyone in the company or have any internal connections. If you do, they might chat with them about your character, experience, or just the type of person you are. The hiring manager can learn more about your motivations for applying to their company and this job by asking this question. Finally, employers like to hear how people are finding their job listings. When answering this interview question, show your excitement for the position and be specific. Also, name dropping is good because this can give you an edge over the competition, mainly if the person referring you works for the same company. Question number 9. What motivates you? Some interview questions will catch you off guard, especially when they are broad and can have multiple answers. One example is the interview question, what motivates you? When the hiring manager asks you this question, they want to know what drives you to achieve things in life and motivates you to complete workplace goals. So how can you structure and answer your answer so it hits all the key points the hiring manager wants to hear? First, when answering this interview question, focus on the factors that have motivated you to pursue this job role or company. Start by researching the company and the job description. Your answer should always align with the company's vision and what they expect from you in this position. For example, if the job requires a lot of problem solving or working one-on-one with clients to solve their issues, you can say your motivation is to hear a client say you did a job well done, or your motivations come from finding new ways to make things work more efficiently. Another fantastic approach is if the company's vision is to provide environmentally friendly products within 5 years from now, you can mention your love for the environment and working on a team who shares your vision. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. What motivates me is knowing that my work makes a difference. Whether it's helping a team reach a goal, providing excellent service to customers, or solving a problem, I feel energized when I see the positive impact of what I do. I'm also motivated by challenges that push me to learn and grow. When there's an opportunity to take on something new or improve a skill, it excites me to dive in and give it my best effort. Being part of a supportive and collaborative environment motivates me. I find a lot of value in working with others who share a common purpose, and it inspires me to contribute even more. For me, it's about staying engaged in meaningful work and feeling like I'm part of something bigger that keeps me motivated every day. Hey, before we continue, I want to introduce you to my number one recommendation for making money online. You don't need any previous experience, technical skills, and capital to get started. Just look at what some people made from simple 2-page websites that generate leads to local businesses. To learn more and quit the 9-to-5 grind, click the link below and watch the free training video. Question number 10. Why do you want to work at this company? Or why do you want this job? Hiring managers will ask you this interview question to determine a few key things. First, they want to determine if you will be a good fit for the company. For example, does this job align with what you are looking for? And does it also align with your future career goals? Secondly, the hiring manager wants to hear, in your answer, what attracted you to the company. Does the company have the same vision as you? For example, if you are passionate about giving back to the community, are you interested in working for this company because they share your passion? When answering this question, you should thoroughly understand the job role and research the company. By doing this, you can mention specific areas of the job and the company that motivated you to apply for this position with them. Ask yourself, does this job give you an opportunity to build your problem-solving skills or analytical skills? Or you can mention how this company will allow you to transition into other progressive roles in the future. A great way to prepare for this interview question is to head to the company's LinkedIn page and visit the following tabs: News, Events, People, Insights, and Current Job Openings. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. I applied for this job because it aligns perfectly with 2 of my strongest skills: problem solving and my ability to multitask. Since this position is looking for someone who can manage customer relationships to ensure they have an excellent experience doing business with your company, I believe my previous work experience in customer service and my core skills will be an asset to this role. Not only that, you require a candidate who can work with residential and business clients. As you can see from my extensive work experience in both these industries, I can transition efficiently into this role without your team having to invest resources in training me, so I can start adding value to your company immediately. After researching your company, two things stood out, which makes this role even more attractive. First, your commitment to employee growth. You have a great program that trains and mentors employees to transition into other, more senior job roles. This aligns perfectly with my career goals because I want to be with a company where I can grow and continue providing value over time. Secondly, your company has an excellent volunteer program where you provide guidance and training for free to people who cannot afford education on their own. This allows me to explore my other passion, which is to help people because I believe everyone should have an opportunity to follow their passion. Question number 11. Why were you fired from your last job? No one likes answering this interview question, especially when it may shed light on your character negatively. But this does not mean there isn't a strategic way to answer this interview question where you leave a positive impression on the hiring manager. So, when recruiters ask you the following interview question, why were you fired from your last job? They want to make sure you haven't been fired for egregious misbehavior like stealing, fraud, abuse, etc. If none of these apply to you, you can answer this question confidently. You see, hiring managers understand sometimes employers and employees may not align properly, so parting ways may be the best option for both of you. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. If I'm being honest, getting fired was a tough experience, but I've taken it as a learning opportunity. The reason I was let go was due to a mismatch between my working style and the company's expectations. For example, in my last role, I was heavily focused on meeting deadlines and pushing through high workloads, but I didn't communicate enough with my team or manager about challenges I was facing. That created misunderstandings and led to some mistakes, which I take full responsibility for. Since then, I've worked hard to improve in that area. I've taken time to reflect, and I've learned the value of being open and asking for support when I need it. I've also started practicing better organization and prioritization. While it was a hard lesson, I'm grateful because it's pushed me to grow and be more self-aware in how I approach work and relationships. Question number 12. What is your greatest achievement? When answering this interview question, don't be afraid to shine and describe your proudest moments. But first, hiring managers will ask you the following question because they want to know your definition of success and how you relate it to your work. For example, did your greatest achievement make a difference in your personal and/or professional life? And is this why you consider it one of your proudest moments? Next, interviewers pay close attention to the achievement you labeled the greatest because this gives them insight into your core values. So, when choosing an achievement for your answer, ensure it's related to the job you are interviewing for. Then, utilize the STAR method when answering this question. Situation: describe what happened. Task: what you decided to do. Action: how you completed the task. And result: the outcome of the situation. Finally, highlight the results you achieved. For example, my greatest achievement was when I worked on a team to implement software to streamline how fast orders were processed. This change led to a 15% increase in how fast customers received their orders. That year, we also had a 5% increase in return customers. Here's another great sample. My greatest achievement was leading a team project at my previous job that improved customer satisfaction. We were tasked with identifying common complaints and finding ways to address them. After analyzing feedback, we realized that delayed response times were a significant issue. I suggested a new system to prioritize incoming requests and introduced a training program to help the team handle inquiries more efficiently. It wasn't easy to implement, and there were moments when we had to work late or adapt quickly to challenges. Within 3 months, our response time improved by 40%, and customer satisfaction scores rose by 25%. Seeing the impact of our efforts on both the team and the customers was incredibly rewarding. It reminded me how much can be accomplished when everyone works together toward a common goal. Question number 13. Tell me about a time when you showed leadership, or when you took on a leadership role. Hiring managers will ask you about a time you showed leadership because they want to know more about your previous leadership experience and your abilities. In addition, Hiring managers know when a job will require you to step in for management from time to time, so having leadership experience would be an asset for this job. It's another way for them to understand more about your experience. Finally, hiring managers want candidates who can motivate their team when it gets tough. If you don't have any previous leadership experience, choose a time outside of work when you showed your leadership abilities. For example, this can be during school, volunteering, on a sports team, etc. The goal is to show your ability to step in to motivate your team, your ability to work under pressure, your time management skills, your ability to meet deadlines, and others. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. In my previous job, there was a time when our team was preparing for an important presentation to a new client. A few days before the deadline, our team leader had to step away unexpectedly due to a family emergency. I noticed that my coworkers were feeling unsure about how to move forward without clear direction. I decided to step in and take charge. I called a quick meeting to review the work we had already completed and to figure out what still needed to be done. I assigned tasks based on everyone's strengths and made sure everyone had what they needed to stay on track. I also checked in regularly with each person to make sure they were comfortable with their assignments and to offer support. When the day of the presentation arrived, everything came together smoothly, and the client was very impressed with our work. Afterward, my coworkers told me they appreciated how I stepped up and kept the team organized. That experience taught me how important it is to stay calm, be clear with communication, and trust the people you're working with. It felt good to know that I could help the team succeed when it mattered most. Question number 14. Describe a time you failed and how you handled it. Now, this question can be tricky, but if you understand the recruiter's expectations, it will be a breeze to answer. So, when the hiring manager asks you about a time you failed at work, they are really interested in knowing what you define as a failure. For example, when given a project, do you know the complete expectation and the difference between success and failure concerning the task? When answering this question, use the STAR method to describe a time when things didn't entirely work out the way they should have at work. But the key is to avoid describing a scenario detrimental to the employer. Instead, choose a scenario that can be common in any workplace. For example, when did something not go as planned? When was a strategy ineffective? When did an approach miss the actual target? Next, structure the answer correctly, describing what happened, what was done to resolve it, and, most significantly, what you learned from the entire experience. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. A few years ago, I was working on a project with a tight deadline, and I underestimated how long a key task would take. I thought I could handle it on my own, but I ended up falling behind. As the deadline approached, I realized I wouldn't finish on time unless I asked for help. It was tough to admit I had misjudged the situation, but I reached out to my team, explained where I was stuck, and asked for their support. Together, we broke the task into smaller parts, and everyone pitched in to get it done. We managed to meet the deadline, but the experience stuck with me. It taught me the importance of realistic planning and being upfront when I need help. Now, I make it a point to involve others early on and double-check timelines to avoid similar mistakes. Question number 15. What do you like least about your job? Or what did you like least about your previous job? Here's where things get tricky because I'm sure you are leaving or did leave your previous job because something didn't align with your expectations. But the key is to not ramble on about your dislikes because this will make you seem like an employee that's hard to please or someone who may get bored quickly. Also, talking too long may lead you into uncharted territory. For example, you may accidentally say how much you hate your coworkers or manager. So, start by mentioning the positive aspects of your current or previous employer. You can mention how lucky you were to work with them and everything you learned. Then, focus on what growth opportunities this job provides you that your other job isn't. You can say something like, when I started working for ABC Company, I wanted to gain more experience in paid marketing. But now with 5 years of experience working in this role, I want to pursue an opportunity with a company specializing in Google AdWords and analytics only. I feel 80 to 90% of businesses focus on Google paid ads, and your company will allow me to enhance my Google marketing experience and gain experience while working with a reputable portfolio of clients. Unfortunately, my previous or current company did not provide me with these opportunities. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. In my previous job, one of the things I liked least was the lack of opportunities to work on new projects or take on additional responsibilities outside of my main role. I enjoy learning and being challenged, and when my tasks became repetitive or routine, it felt like I wasn't growing as much as I wanted to. I brought this up with my manager a couple of times, and while they were supportive, the structure of the company didn't allow for much change in how roles were defined. That said, I always made the best of it by focusing on doing my job well and finding small ways to challenge myself, like improving processes or helping my coworkers when they needed it. I've realized that I thrive in environments where I can continue learning and contribute in different ways, so that's something I'm hoping to find in my next position. Question number 16. How do you prioritize your work? Recruiters will ask you the following interview question. How do you prioritize your work? Because they want to get a better understanding of your time management skills. By asking this question, they also understand more about your ability to communicate and exercise judgment between urgent and non-urgent tasks. Describe how you decide what tasks must be done first. For example, do you base it on deadline and/or difficulty, etc.? You can also talk about what time during the day you choose to work on the most urgent work assignments. For example, are you the type of person who is most productive in the morning? If you are, do you complete the most urgent tasks then, or do you do your best work at night? It's important to illustrate to the interviewer what factors determine when you should prioritize that project over another and how you ensure it gets done right. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. When it comes to prioritizing my work, I start by getting a clear understanding of what needs to be done and when. I usually create a list of tasks and identify which ones are most time-sensitive or have the greatest impact on my goals or the team's objectives. From there, I focus on the tasks that need immediate attention, making sure to balance deadlines with the complexity of the work. I try to tackle the most challenging or critical items first when my energy and focus are at their highest. Throughout the day, I keep track of my progress and adjust if priorities shift or something unexpected comes up. If new tasks are assigned, I'll evaluate how they fit into what I'm already working on and communicate with my team or supervisor if something needs to be reshuffled. I also make time to review my work and ensure it meets the quality standards expected. Staying organized, flexible, and clear about what's most important helps me stay on top of everything without feeling overwhelmed. Question number 17. Why have you decided to change career paths? It's important to remember that every question the hiring manager asks during the interview process is planned beforehand. With each interview question, they get closer to determining if you are the right person for this job. By asking this question, hiring managers can understand more about your character. For example, are you someone who keeps changing careers and will do the same if you get this job too? Companies invest time and money into their employees, so they want to hire someone committed to the organization long term. They want to hire someone who will grow with the company and transition into another job with them. However, it's completely understandable if you decided to change careers at midpoint because you wanted to try something new, which later became your passion. Or sometimes it is a life-changing event which pushes you to change course in your professional life. Always be honest about why you have decided to change careers. For example, was it the job outlook or life event, or were you lucky enough to gain experience in this field and want to continue growing in it? Next, steer the conversation in a positive direction by emphasizing what you learned through your previous work experience and how some of the key skills can be an asset to this job. Next, discuss why you have applied for this job and this company and how it aligns with your future career goals. A great way to do this is to research the company before your interview and discuss how you value its vision and culture. Also, in your answer, mention some other jobs you want to pursue with them in the future. Finally, don't forget to mention what other aspects of the company resonate with you. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. I decided to change career paths because I realized my priorities and passions have shifted over time. While I'm proud of the work I've done in my current field, I started to notice that it wasn't fulfilling me the way I hoped it would. I found myself drawn to the challenges and opportunities in this new area, and I've spent a lot of time reflecting on what I want out of my career. I want to contribute in a way that feels meaningful, where my skills and efforts make a real difference. I've also taken steps to prepare for this transition. Whether it's learning new skills, taking courses, or seeking out advice from people in the field, I've worked to understand what this career involves and how I can succeed in it. The idea of stepping into something new is exciting to me because I know it will push me to grow while giving me the chance to bring fresh energy and perspective to this role. This is not a decision I've taken lightly. It's something I've thought about deeply, and I'm confident that this is the right move for me. Question number 18. Are you willing to relocate? The hiring manager will ask this common job interview question if you are interviewing for an opportunity requiring you to travel or if there is a possibility of relocation. Hiring managers want to ensure the person they hire will not have a problem traveling or relocating if required. In addition, they will probably invest enormous resources into you as an employee once you are hired and want someone who will continue to grow with them long term. Now here's the good news. First, you will have a heads up if relocation is a requirement for the job because it will be listed in the job description. If it's listed, you can prepare an answer focused on your ability to be flexible and adaptable for the job and company. Second, having prior knowledge of relocation being a requirement for the job will give you an upper edge in negotiating a package. This relocation package includes moving costs, food, accommodation, and more. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. Yes, I am open to relocating if the job requires it. I understand that some roles may involve moving to a different city or even a different state, and I'm prepared to make that transition if it aligns with the needs of the company and my career goals. Relocating can be a great opportunity to grow both personally and professionally. It allows me to adapt to new environments, meet new people, and experience different ways of working. Of course, I would want to make sure the relocation is feasible for me and my family. I'd need to discuss the timeline and logistics to ensure a smooth transition, but I'm confident I could handle it. I also see relocation as a way to show my commitment to the role and the company's success. If this position requires me to move, I would approach it with a positive mindset and a willingness to embrace the change. Question number 19. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? The hiring manager asks this interview question to understand your long-term goals. For example, how well do your career goals align with the job you are interviewing for? You see, the last thing recruiters want to do is hire someone who plans on completely changing career paths a year from now. So, when interviewers ask the following question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? They want to know if you are passionate about your career choice. They want to understand your goals within the company. For example, will you transition into other progressive roles, maybe moving from a managerial role to a director or VP role within the same company? However, here are some tips to help you answer this question to stand out. First, be honest about your career goals, but only if it is relevant. For example, don't say I plan on becoming a marketing manager if the job you are interviewing for is for an accountant. So, keep things as relevant as possible. Secondly, be confident and show interest in what you are doing with your life and the career path you have chosen. Why? The hiring manager can read if you are not interested in this position or are not passionate about what they do. Finally, do not say you plan on leaving the company to pursue another job a year from now. Remember, hiring managers want to invest in someone they feel will be with them long term, growing with the company throughout the years. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. In 5 years, I see myself continuing to grow and contribute meaningfully in my career. I'd like to have expanded my skills and taken on new responsibilities that challenge me and push me to be better. If I'm given the opportunity to join this company, I hope to build a strong foundation here and develop a deeper understanding of the industry and the role. I'm someone who values steady progress, so I would focus on becoming an expert in my position and earning the trust of my team and leadership. I'd also like to be someone others can rely on, whether it's mentoring newer employees, helping solve complex problems, or finding ways to improve processes. While I don't know exactly what the future holds, I'm confident that my commitment to personal growth and my work ethic will keep me moving forward in a way that aligns with the needs of the company and my professional goals. Question number 20. How do you handle stress and pressure when on the job? The hiring manager does not want to hear that you never get stressed because this is not an authentic answer. Everyone has been put under pressure, but what differentiates you is how well you handle the stress and persevere through it. So the hiring manager will ask you the following interview question because they want to know whether you can handle work-related stress or do you fold under pressure. More importantly, the hiring manager wants to know what steps you take to handle these types of situations. It's that simple. You see, stress is an integral part of some job roles, which is why hiring managers make sure they ask this question during their interviews. There is no real secret to answering this question because you are either someone who can handle stress well or someone who can't. In that case, I recommend avoiding jobs that put you in these types of situations because sooner or later your work will be affected. But if you handle stressful situations well, explain to the hiring manager the steps you take when faced with work-related stress. I think the most important thing when answering this question is to provide a well-structured, organized, and detailed answer illustrating the exact steps you take and what you do to ensure certain situations don't happen again. Stress and pressure are part of any job, and I handle them by staying focused on what I can control. When I feel stressed, I take a moment to prioritize my tasks. I figure out what needs to be handled first and break it down into manageable steps. For me, this approach makes big challenges feel less overwhelming. I also rely on communication during stressful situations. If I'm feeling stretched thin or need clarification, I make sure to ask for support or check in with my team to ensure we're all on the same page. Staying organized is another thing that helps me manage pressure. I use tools like checklists or schedules to keep track of what needs to be done. Lastly, I remind myself to take a deep breath and stay calm because stress is temporary, and handling it well helps me grow stronger in my role. Now, before we continue, check out these awesome videos. I have posted the links to them in the description below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more great videos posted every single week. Question number 21. When were you most satisfied in your job? Many interview questions may seem similar, but what the hiring manager learns from your answer will allow them to better understand your attitude, work ethic, and if specific jobs fit you better. The hiring manager will ask you the following interview question. When were you most satisfied with your job? To find out how much pride you take in your work and the likelihood of you staying in the job and with the company. For example, if the job you are interviewing for involves solving problems every day and problem solving is a major contributing factor to your overall satisfaction, then this position will be a perfect match for you. So when the hiring manager hears an answer where the job requirements fit perfectly with the candidate's motivations, this candidate may be the right person to hire. To answer this question, think about a specific situation where you felt extremely satisfied. It's always a good practice to pinpoint an exact scenario. Then, break it down to how you positively impacted the job, the team, and even the managers. What made you feel super satisfied after making this positive impact, and why was it so special? Second, if possible, include how your team or manager contributed to your satisfaction, maybe from the support or feedback they provided during a project. This is important because most jobs require you to work closely with a team. Describing how your satisfaction is closely intertwined with them shows the hiring manager you excel when working independently and in a group. Finally, always keep things relevant by choosing an example from your past that is as closely relevant to the job you are interviewing for. Doing this will allow the hiring manager to envision you working for them and how this job can provide the same level of satisfaction as your previous work experiences. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. One of the times I felt most satisfied in my job was when I worked on a challenging project that required both teamwork and creativity. In a previous role, I was part of a team responsible for organizing a large-scale event for a client. It was a high-pressure situation because the client had very specific expectations, and we had to work with a tight budget and timeline. I took on the task of coordinating with multiple vendors, ensuring everyone stayed on schedule, and finding creative ways to deliver high-quality results without overspending. The day of the event, everything came together perfectly. Seeing the client's reaction, hearing their positive feedback, and knowing that our hard work paid off made all the late nights and problem-solving worth it. What made it even more satisfying was knowing that the success came from not just my individual efforts but from the way our team supported each other throughout the process. It reminded me how much I enjoy roles where I can contribute to meaningful results and work with others toward a common goal. Question number 22. What do you do on your time off? The hiring manager will ask the following question to understand your personality. You see, hiring managers want a candidate who will perform the job above expectations and be a great cultural fit within the company, because this will attract other talented people to pursue jobs at their company, leading to growth. Not only that, but group outings are becoming more popular, and hiring managers want to ensure they maintain a safe and unified company culture. Also, this interview question helps the hiring managers learn more about your motivations, ambitions, and any unique skills you have that were not yet mentioned during the interview. So when answering this question, first, research the company and learn what kind of things the company is involved in within the community. For example, do they support any foundations, volunteer work within the company, or encourage employees to participate in any activities outside of work? Second, consider what is appropriate to share, because not everything will be relevant to the company, and some things may not highlight your key skills. Third, pick those hobbies and activities that highlight your greatest assets, for example, teamwork, time management, organization, etc. Again, read over the job description so you can choose hobbies outside of work that match well with the job you are interviewing for. Finally, connect your hobbies to the company culture and vision while highlighting some of your accomplishments. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. On my time off, I enjoy spending quality time with my family and friends. We often cook meals together or go on small outings like hiking or visiting local parks. I also like to stay active, so I make time for activities like jogging or taking my dog for walks. When I'm at home, I enjoy reading, trying out new recipes, or working on small DIY projects to improve my space. These things help me recharge and keep a good balance in my life. I find that staying active and engaged during my free time helps me come back to work feeling refreshed and focused. Question number 23. What is your management style? Interviewers may ask you this question because they want to understand more about how you would manage your department or team if it's required for the job. For example, some managers may need you to take over day-to-day operations. Hence, hiring managers want to ensure you have the experience and key skills to keep the highest level of productivity in the workplace. Also, asking a candidate how they manage a team is a great way for recruiters to understand how the candidate likes to be managed too. So what is the best way to answer this interview question? What is your management style? How you answer this question comes down to your experience and the types of managers you have worked with. I recommend learning from your previous managers and thinking about what made them so effective. Then, think about why you were excited about working on a manager's team and what qualities they had that made you excel in your job. Finally, define your management style. Transformational, visionary, consultative, collaborative, democratic, coaching, and others. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. My management style is focused on clear communication, collaboration, and adaptability. I believe that setting clear expectations and providing regular feedback are essential for any team to succeed. I make it a priority to understand the strengths and needs of each team member so I can delegate tasks in a way that sets everyone up for success. I also value open communication and encourage my team to share their ideas, ask questions, and voice concerns. By fostering a supportive and respectful environment, I aim to create a space where people feel motivated and valued. I also understand that not every situation is the same, so I adjust my approach based on the needs of the team and the task at hand. My goal is always to guide the team toward achieving our objectives while helping everyone grow professionally. Question number 24. Would you rather be liked or respected? Hiring managers will use different questions to understand more about your personality and the type of employee you would be. This common interview question, would you rather be liked or respected? Is an excellent example of a question they would use. When interviewers ask this question, they want to know your motivations, priorities, and thought process. You see, specific jobs require an employee to have exact motivations and understand their priorities no matter what else they have going on in their lives. There is no universal answer to this question, but you should always understand the job requirements before crafting your answer. The key points you emphasize depend on the job role and its expectations. With that said, answer respected if you apply for a managerial or leadership role. A respected manager can do more in the workplace since employees enthusiastically carry out your directives to earn your respect. However, I recommend choosing being liked if your work involves long hours working in a team and collectively. You see, being someone who your team likes may help increase team morale and overall productivity. You can mention both. If you do, you must be prepared to go into details on each, which would be relevant to the job you are interviewing for. In short, your answer depends on your job role and its requirements. For example, if you delegate tasks, being respected is the way to go, but use being liked if you will be working in a job requiring teamwork. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. I believe being respected is more important in a professional setting because respect is the foundation of trust and effective teamwork. While being liked can make interactions pleasant, respect ensures that people value your contributions and take you seriously. When people respect you, they are more likely to listen to your ideas, rely on you for important tasks, and trust your judgment. That said, I don't think being respected means you can't also be kind and approachable. Treating others with respect, being empathetic, and building good relationships often lead to being both liked and respected. My goal is to earn respect through my actions, work ethic, and fairness, while also maintaining positive and friendly interactions with those I work with. Respect lasts longer and creates stronger professional bonds, and that's what I strive for in any role. Question number 25. What are your pet peeves and why? Now here's an interview question to catch you off guard. How? When the hiring manager asks the following interview question, what are your pet peeves? They want to understand what bothers you and what you dislike. This interview question is also tricky to answer because how can you describe your dislikes in a way where the hiring manager still has a positive feeling about you and your candidacy? First, why do hiring managers ask you this interview question? You see, this is a behavioral type question to assess your personality and what kind of things will irritate you. Depending on the way you answer, the hiring manager can quickly determine if the job you are interviewing for will play into your dislikes, and if it does, it may not be the right position for you. Interviewers also want to know how well you would fit into the company culture. Here are some tips to help you prepare a well thought out answer. First, always research the job and the company so you are clear about the type of candidate the company is looking for. Ask yourself, what key skills and experience does this job role require? Are they looking for someone patient with customers? Do they need someone good with numbers and analyzing reports? By collecting this information, you get a sense of the types of pet peeves you should avoid in your answer. Secondly, be honest because otherwise you will come out as unauthentic. Third, always explain why this is your pet peeve. For example, my biggest pet peeve is work handed to me late because this directly interferes with my productivity. Or one of my biggest pet peeves is people who are late without a good reason because I think time management is extremely important personally and professionally. I try my hardest to respect other people's time and would expect the same from my peers. Fourth, find ways to turn a negative into a positive. For example, if your pet peeve is multitasking, you can describe the steps you have or are taking to improve on this skill. You can also describe how you have become more efficient in completing work through practice and provide some examples. Finally, keep things short and concise. Limiting your answer to 1 to 2 minutes allows you to stay focused on the question and decreases the chances of you saying something to negatively impact your candidacy. In the 1 to 2 minute time frame, talk less about your pet peeve and more about the positive changes it has brought out in you. Question number 26. When can you start? Or how soon can you start? Employers sometimes need positions filled right away, but sometimes they allocate a few weeks so they can complete the entire round of interviews. Whatever the case, you must be prepared to give a clear, focused answer to the following interview question. When can you start? To keep this short and concise, when you answer this interview question, always think about your availability and how long it will take to smoothly transition into this new role if you are hired for it. For example, if you are currently working, you would most likely have to give a 2-week notice. Can you start work within a few days if you are not working? But if the job requires you to relocate, you may require extra time to tie up some loose ends, right? When answering this question, it's important to consider your current situation and how much time you need to transition into this job. But consider the employer simultaneously because they most likely have a deadline closing on when this role must be filled. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. I'm ready to start as soon as possible. I understand that it's important to have a smooth transition for both you and your team, so if there's any paperwork, orientation, or other steps that need to be taken care of, I'm happy to get started on those right away. If you have a specific start date in mind, I'm flexible and can adjust to fit the timeline. My main goal is to get up to speed quickly so I can contribute to the team as soon as possible. Question number 27. What are your salary expectations? Hiring managers will ask you about your salary expectations for two main reasons. First, they want to know how much you value yourself, your experience, and your skills. Next, they want to know if they can afford you. You see, each department and/or job role has a salary cap, so they want to know if your salary expectations will fit into this range. However, if hiring managers believe you will bring enormous value to the company and job role, they will meet your salary requirements. So how do you answer this interview question? What are your salary expectations? First, we recommend you do your research. Find similar roles in your industry and write down what these jobs pay their employees. Second, before your interview, speak to people in the industry, like friends, so that they can provide insight into the salary range. But we have found the best approach is to speak to recruiters before your interview because they are more than happy to help. You have other options when asked about your salary expectations. You can always put a range on the application so the hiring manager knows your expectations and then mention you are open to negotiation. But again, do your research and using your own experience, find out on average what people with your skills and experience get paid. However, if you are already working in a similar job, you should have a good idea of your salary expectations. Don't hesitate to clarify your previous salary and how you feel you should be fairly compensated in this job. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. When it comes to salary, I'm open to discussing a fair number that reflects the responsibilities of the role and my experience. Based on my research and the typical range for similar positions in this industry and location, I would expect something in the range of. Here you can mention the range, for example, $50,000 to $60,000 annually, then continue with the following. However, I'm flexible and more interested in finding a position where I can contribute meaningfully and grow within the company. I'd be happy to learn more about the budget for this role and discuss a number that works for both of us. Question number 28. What would your first few months look like in this role? When answering this interview question, it's crucial to think about the job role and what you will be doing. But more importantly, what will allow you to perform your job above expectations? So, again, start by looking over the job description and what your direct manager will expect from you. Then, when reviewing the job description, consider what resources and tools will help you get to work right away. For example, how can you ensure you will checkmark all the requirements in the job description? Finally, how can you ensure you will be the right fit for this job role? However, before we give you our top tips to answer this interview question, it's essential to know why hiring managers ask you this question. In short, they want to know your game plan and how you prepare before starting a new job. We recommend you prepare an answer hitting on these main points: organizing your workload and writing the critical deadlines that need to be met, building relationships with your team and management to ensure smooth communication, familiarizing yourself with the software, tools, and applications in your department. Outline your goals, researching and understanding the company culture and dynamics. And finally, introducing yourself to clients and customers. This applies to you if you are taking over a portfolio of clients from someone previously enrolled in this job. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. In my first few months in this role, I would focus on learning the ins and outs of the team, company processes, and key priorities. I would start by meeting with team members, stakeholders, and leaders to understand their goals, challenges, and expectations. Building these relationships early on would help me work effectively and gain a clear picture of how I can contribute. I'd also take time to review any training materials, systems, or tools I'll be using so I can feel confident and efficient in my day-to-day tasks. At the same time, I'd start identifying ways I can make a positive impact, whether it's by completing smaller projects to get quick wins or supporting others in their work. My goal during these months would be to establish trust, show that I'm reliable, and demonstrate my commitment to the team's success. Question number 29. Tell me about a time you made a mistake at work. How did you handle it? This is another common interview question that may seem tricky to answer because you have to talk about some of the mistakes, errors you've made at your previous job. First, it's important to understand everyone makes mistakes, and I'm sure the person interviewing has made their fair share too. However, by strategically crafting your answer beforehand, you can not only be honest but can score points with the hiring manager too. So the hiring manager asks this question: tell me about a time you made a mistake at work, because they want to know how you handle challenges in the workplace. For example, are you the type of person to lose focus or your temper? Or do you handle them professionally, learning from your mistakes and evolving into a better employee? When preparing your answer, I recommend following this structure. First, describe what happened and take accountability. By taking accountability, you prove to the hiring manager that you are someone willing to accept responsibility and work at making things better in the workplace. Next, always focus on a mistake in the workplace and avoid discussing anything personal. Remember, the hiring manager is trying to visualize you as an employee working with them and wants to understand more about your character as it would reflect on their team. Third, choose a scenario, mistake, that occurred at your previous job which was not catastrophic to the organization. For example, don't mention something criminal or against company policy because this would scare the interviewer from hiring you. Finally, always close your answer by explaining what you did to resolve the situation. It's important to highlight what you learned from the situation and what you did to ensure the same mistake doesn't happen again. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. In my previous role, I made a mistake while updating a customer's account information. I accidentally entered the wrong details, which caused some confusion when the customer tried to access their account later. As soon as I realized the error, I took full responsibility and contacted the customer to explain what had happened. I apologized sincerely for the inconvenience and reassured them that I would fix it right away. I updated the information correctly and double-checked everything to make sure there weren't any other issues. To prevent similar mistakes, I created a simple checklist to use when entering data, and I started taking an extra moment to review my work before submitting it. This experience taught me the importance of slowing down and double-checking details, especially when working with information that directly affects someone else. The customer appreciated my honesty and the quick resolution. Question number 30. Can you describe a time when your work was criticized? How did you handle it? During your interview, the hiring manager will ask how you handle criticism in the workplace. When you start a new job, it takes some time to become accustomed to how the team completes projects and how they require work to be submitted to upper management. Because of this, you may encounter situations where your work may not be up to the quality standards of your department. However, your ability to handle criticism can help you manage these types of situations better and have a positive effect on the overall productivity of your team. Before we get into how to answer this interview question, let's explore why hiring managers ask you this question. First, by asking you to describe a time you received criticism, The hiring manager can learn how well you handle challenges. Be advised that the hiring manager isn't asking you to describe the criticism you received in detail, but is interested in how you handled it and the outcome. Another thing the hiring manager wants to learn is how the criticism you received helped you make positive changes in your life and how it improved your performance in the workplace. Because they know a candidate who can learn quickly and improve is someone who will make the team more efficient and is great for the overall morale of the department. So, answering this question requires you to take time out to think. Start by brainstorming and think about a time you made an error at work and the feedback you received from your team or manager. Use a situation where you know you have made improvements afterwards and can illustrate the positive changes. Second, use the STAR method to structure your answer. Situation, describe what happened. Task, what you decided to do. Action, how you completed the task. And result, the outcome of the situation. Finally, please describe what you learned from this situation and how it improved your performance going forward. I think it's also a great idea to mention what changes you have made to ensure the same errors do not happen again. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. During one of my previous jobs, I was responsible for creating a report that was going to be presented to upper management. I spent a lot of time gathering data and formatting it to look professional. When I submitted it to my supervisor, they told me it was missing a clear summary at the beginning and felt too detailed for the audience it was meant for. At first, I felt a little defensive because I had put so much effort into it, but I reminded myself that feedback is part of improving. I asked my supervisor to clarify what kind of summary they were looking for and what details could be left out. I then reviewed the report and restructured it based on their input. I made the summary concise and to the point, highlighting the most important takeaways. I also streamlined the detailed sections to make them easier to follow. When I resubmitted the report, my supervisor was happy with the changes and mentioned how much better it flowed. That experience taught me the importance of seeing feedback as an opportunity to learn. Instead of focusing on my feelings, I now focus on how I can use feedback to do better in the future. Hey, before we continue, I want to introduce you to my #1 recommendation for making money online. You don't need any previous experience, technical skills, and capital to get started. Just look at what some people made from simple 2-page websites that generate leads to local businesses. To learn more and quit the 9-to-5 grind, click the link below and watch the free training video. Question number 31. How do you handle working with annoying coworkers? Most jobs do require you to work in a team setting, and you will be interacting with all sorts of different personalities. For this reason, you will run into coworkers who are not a good match for you or don't have the same thinking as you. But this does not mean you can move them to another team. It's quite the opposite. You will have to find ways to reach agreements and creatively manage their personalities so your team can operate as efficiently as possible. When hiring managers ask you how you handle working with annoying coworkers, they don't want to know what annoys you but what steps you take to ensure you don't let it get in the way of your priorities and your commitment to your team. It's that simple. So, when answering this interview question, first reiterate how it's important that nothing gets in the way of your responsibilities and commitment to your job. You see, the hiring manager is looking for a candidate who will not fold or lose their calm if they run into a coworker that annoys them on the job. Why? Because an employee who lets things bother them will not perform up to expectations, leading to a decrease in productivity in the workplace. So, in your answer, explain in detail how you remain focused on the task at hand and the methods you use to remain patient when working with an annoying coworker. You can also describe some proactive steps you take to ensure you don't get annoyed on the job. For example, if you say, "I get annoyed when a coworker submits their part of the project late," you can follow up this answer by saying, "So, to make sure everyone is on schedule, I hold weekly meetings with each team member to ensure everyone is on point with their work, so deadlines won't be missed." Now here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. When I work with someone I find challenging or annoying, I try to focus on staying professional and keeping the work environment positive I remind myself that everyone has their own way of working and communicating, and it's not always going to align with mine. I try to figure out what might be causing the friction. Maybe it's a different work style, communication issue, or even stress on their end. Once I understand that, I can adjust how I approach them. For example, if someone is overly critical, I focus on the facts of what they're saying instead of how it's said. If someone talks too much or distracts me, I set boundaries politely but firmly, like letting them know I need to focus on a task. I also make sure I don't take things personally. Instead, I keep the conversation work-focused and respectful. If it's a recurring issue that impacts the team, I wouldn't hesitate to have an honest but kind conversation with them. I might say something like, "I think we're both trying to do our best here, but I feel like we're not always on the same page. How can we work better together?" Keeping open communication helps resolve most conflicts. Question number 32. Explain a time when you disagreed with a decision made at work. What did you do when this happened? First, you will have differences of opinion in the workplace. It's normal, but how you handle them is what sets one person apart from another. Hiring managers will ask you this interview question to understand more about your communication skills in challenging situations. Next, this interview question will also help hiring managers determine your ability to maintain a level of respect for your managers or supervisor. You see, disagreements are known to lead to conflicts that hurt the company morale, so having an employee on the team who can handle these tricky situations seamlessly is an asset. So, how do you answer this question? First, describe the situation briefly, mentioning what happened. For example, while working on a project, my manager and I disagreed on what tasks should be completed or prioritized first. Second, explain a bit more why you felt the way you did. This is important because it's a great way to communicate your problem-solving skills or the way you organize projects. Third, discuss your approach to communicate your disagreement. For example, to resolve our disagreement, I scheduled a meeting with my manager so we could share our ideas. And finally, what was the outcome? Here's a great sample answer you can use during your interview. In my previous job, there was a time when my manager decided to implement a new process for handling customer inquiries that I felt would slow us down and frustrate our customers. The plan required all inquiries to go through an additional approval step before we could respond. While I understood the reasoning behind it, ensuring consistency, I believed it would create delays and hurt our ability to provide quick service, which was one of our strengths. I decided to bring up my concerns respectfully during a team meeting. I explained how this change might impact our response times and shared a few examples from recent situations where fast responses had led to positive customer experiences. I also suggested an alternative, allowing team members to handle straightforward inquiries on their own while using the approval step only for more complex cases. My manager appreciated my input and agreed to try my suggestion as a trial. Over the next month, we monitored the results, and it turned out to be a better fit for our team and customers. While I didn't agree with the original decision, I learned that expressing my concerns constructively and offering solutions can lead to a positive outcome for everyone. This experience reinforced the importance of clear communication and collaboration. Question number 33. What should I know that's not on your resume? This question gives you the chance to show a personal side that doesn't come through in your resume. It's an opportunity to highlight qualities, experiences, or skills that are relevant to the role but aren't traditionally included in a resume. Focus on something that makes you relatable, aligns with the company's culture, or shows your passion for the field. Here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. One thing that's not on my resume is the role my passion for teamwork has played in my success. I've always enjoyed working with people, whether it's collaborating with a group to solve problems or helping others grow. For example, one time, I volunteered to mentor new hires because I wanted to make their transition smoother. I wasn't assigned this task, but I saw how overwhelming it could be for them, so I created a simple onboarding guide that answered common questions and shared tips. It helped them feel more comfortable, and it also strengthened our team overall. Another thing not on my resume is how much I value staying calm under pressure. A few months ago, we had a last-minute project that needed immediate attention. I stayed late, figured out the bottlenecks, and made sure the work got done on time. Experiences like these taught me to be adaptable and stay focused, even in stressful situations. I think these traits, being supportive, calm, and solution-driven, help define who I am, and they're a big part of why I'd be a great fit for this role. Question number 34. Can you describe yourself in 3 words? When asked to describe yourself in 3 words, pick qualities that align with the role and reflect your personality or work ethic. Avoid cliches like hardworking or dedicated, unless you can back them up with examples. Be honest but strategic. Choose words that show your value to the employer, then briefly explain why you chose each word with relatable, real-life examples. Now here's a complete sample answer you can use during your interview. If I had to describe myself in 3 words, I'd say I'm dependable, adaptable, and thoughtful. Dependable because I take my commitments seriously and always follow through. For example, in my last job, I was someone my team could rely on to meet deadlines or help out when things got busy. Adaptable fits because I don't get stuck in one way of doing things. I'm quick to adjust when priorities shift or when there's a challenge to solve. A good example of this was when a major project I was working on required a complete change in direction halfway through. Instead of stressing, I embraced the new approach and got everything done on time. Lastly, I chose thoughtful because I make an effort to think about how my actions affect others. Whether it's colleagues or customers, I aim to make interactions positive and meaningful. And finally, here's the last question. Question number 35. Do you have any questions for me? Now here's another chance for you to impress the hiring manager by showing your ultimate interest in the position. You see, asking the right questions about the job will validate your keen interest in excelling in this position to the hiring manager. Before continuing, this question will be asked at the end of your interview, so be prepared. Now, why do hiring managers ask this interview question? Well, it's to get a sense of your interest in the position and how well you understand the job too. For example, imagine asking the recruiter unrelated questions about the position, or imagine asking them questions that don't align with the job you have just interviewed for. The recruiter may think you don't fully grasp the job requirements or what's expected from you as an employee. Also, the interview will allow you to ask questions because they want to help make it easier for you to decide if this position is the right fit for you. Now, here's a great sample answer you can use during your upcoming interview. Yes, I do have a few questions. First, I'm really curious about what a typical day in this role looks like. Could you share some examples of the kinds of challenges or tasks I might face? I'd like to have a clear idea of what's expected and how I can contribute right away. I'd also love to know more about the team I'd be working with. How would you describe the dynamic within the team and what kind of collaboration happens on a regular basis? Understanding the group's culture is important to me, and I want to see how I can fit in and add value. Another thing I was wondering about is growth within the company. What does career development look like for someone in this position? Are there specific paths or resources available for growing skills and taking on more responsibility? Finally, what qualities do you think are most important for someone to succeed in this role? I want to make sure I fully understand what it takes to do well here. Thank you for taking the time to answer these questions. It really helps me understand how I can contribute effectively. If you want to learn more on how to land jobs and reach your career goals, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification button to get new videos every single week. Also, don't forget to hit that like button because that motivates me to keep doing what I do. Stay safe, keep smiling, and good luck.